for the fact that their family member can retrieve their records or something like that. Any type of
Mm-hmm.
form that you see whenever you walk into the facility and sign it. So we were on paper for the longest time. Basically, initially we because of these all forms, by the way, they get reviewed and they're also part of the way that we get our accreditation for the hospital because they always want to look at the last when was it revised and how was it revised and who approved it. So you have to show all these different uh, tracking of how a form all the way from conception until the last revision on it.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these forms were paper, but basically what we did after we had the health information, the Meditech system implemented, we started looking at automating a lot of these processes, meaning that all of these forms are on demand. They are digital, so they are no
Mm-hmm.
longer not. We no longer send a printing company, basically saying, "Hey, I want 16 pads of this form, and I want 18 pads of this form." These are basically forms that are all PDF. They are all reviewed and everything is tracked through electronically and digitally. And then
Mm-hmm.
the staff prints the kits to the printers instead of us
Okay.
paying for what you would call a printing company to bring us the stock of paper.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So, and of course, that means a lot of savings of not only in money but also in processes and time because if they are sitting on a lot of funds, there is a risk of the fact that um, um, somebody in the facility might use the wrong form or an older
Yeah.
form. So
Mm-hmm.
so then you're risking the fact that they're going to look at your record and they're going to say, well, why is this patient have a form from that was last revised in 18 and you are shown records that you revised it in 2019.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Perfect. And this Midas integration and reporting for quality.
Midas Midas is kind
Okay.
of this is the a standard system of for a lot of the big hospitals that it's a quality control system. So basically, they track all kind of different metrics um, on a patient. So meaning, if God forbid we did the wrong site or an infection or the patient was administered the wrong medication, or a patient uh, called and filed a grievance because they felt that their operation did not go according to plan or something like that. So we keep
Mm-hmm.
track of all of these different things into that particular system, just so that we can make sure that there is a way to bring it to site, to for people to review and also be able to hold people accountable for the quality and the precision of care that they are providing. So from
Okay.
that also we follow the case all the way until it's closed. If there is a breach, for example, let's say we let a patient go and we give them somebody else's records or medication,
Mm-hmm.
they have the ability we have the ability to report that and track it. And of course, we use that also as a way for us to report back to the physicians on how they are performing. So scorecards and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. And then medical records, pre-certification. Okay. And this MD staff and MD start credentialing system by ASM.
Yeah, this is, we used to credential a lot of our physicians by, it was all paper based. So the patient, physician had a folder and they, based on their specialty, they filled out a certain application. And then every single year we would go through a review process where we wanted to make sure that they are still accredited in the, as an orthopedic or a spine doctor or a shoulder or a hand or a specialist or whatever it is. So
Mm-hmm.
all of that credentialing was kept tracked in a manual way. So with this
Mm-hmm.
system is basically we automated all of these different processes, including the process of confirming a doctor. So to say that there's a doctor that is interested in beginning to provide services at our facility. Um, they go through a review process by their peers to basically make sure that they are approved to become a provider and all these different things. So we all of that is all tracked now through this credentialing and statistical system, and the
Mm-hmm.
scorecards the same way.
Okay. Okay, and then the last one is the implemented a closed loop remote imaging solution that enables Dignity Health Medical Group employed physicians to read images from entities from outside of the Dignity Health Pack system. So yeah, so I just wanted to understand this one that okay, what sort of image reading are we talking about here?
Yeah, it's basically what we were looking for, and there's a lot of solutions that we implemented like this. I mentioned this as an example, but basically a lot of times that's also some of the metrics that we look at, like how long does it take to get a result back on a lab? How long does it take to get the result on or a report on a particular image or radiology read that we take? So
Mm-hmm.
in many occasions, that meant that we outsourced our businesses to a different lab solution. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, we changed out lab twice while I was working at Oasis only alone. And the reason for that is because of the fact that it was taking too long, for example, for them to come back, especially on certain critical lab results.
Yeah.
For radiology, the same way, we wanted to kind of streamline the process of, you know, of how long it takes radiologists to read and where can they read the images from. So this
Yeah.
particular cloud solution that we ended up implementing and working and piloting with Dignity, the whole purpose of it is to make the workflow a little bit more integrated within their workflow. So that means
Mm-hmm.
that radiologists can be anywhere and they can read an image for Oasis. Before they had to go to a certain workstations within the facility to basically read and report and dictate on the report. So with the
Mm-hmm.
fact that we changed that into a little bit more seamless process, that meant that now the radiologists are able to respond quicker and finish things quicker and also turn everything around quicker for us.
Yeah. Okay.
And in many occasions, that actually, in some occasions, that means difference between life and death, especially if you have a patient that, let's say, after day one, they ended up having complications and you ended up finding out that they had a heart condition
Mm-hmm.
and you have to transfer them out or something like that. You can't transfer them out unless you know what exactly happened to them. Did they have a massive heart attack? Did they, because that dictates how you are going to triage that patient and, of course, transfer them out.
Okay. Okay. Great. Okay, so I think that's it from the list of projects that you had shared with me. So, anything else that you think is there that you didn't mention in the document or something that could be worth mentioning?
No, I think I try to highlight most of it. I mean, like whenever I mention the revenue cycle and HIM,
Yeah.
there is really multiple systems that are involved in that. From all the way from how we process credit cards, how we send statements, how we do all these different things. They're all different systems within the revenue cycle
Mhm.
area. So I kind of like
Mhm.
summed it up, but really, I mean, just mentioning it, I think people that probably are understanding of healthcare, they would know exactly, what that entails. I mean, especially if you say, also all aspects of revenue cycle, all the way from admission to, to billing and collection. because there is multiple areas that different systems do different things.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that goes all the way from, status boards from the time that the patient arrives all the way until the patient gets taken back, and how you update the tracking board, and how do you communicate with the family, and all of these they're all different systems that are all tied together.
Okay. Okay, that's great.